Hello, this is Eric from labofcoding.com. In this video, we look at functions in Python. So far, we've been working with functions such as the print function, but we've not yet created our own function. In this video, we'll create our first function and see how we can use it. So I've opened Atom here, and I've also opened a file main.py in Atom. And on the left, I have the terminal opened, and it's opened in a folder known as bpython. And it's within this folder that I have the script that is opened in Atom main.py. So in Python, functions are used to create reusable components of code. So you can have a function which performs a given action, and then you can use it in several other places. So it makes code reusability easy. In Python, a function usually follows the syntax of def, the word def, and then we'll have the function name, and then the function can optionally take arguments, and arguments, these are the inputs to the function. And then within the function you'll have the function body, which will execute a given block of code. It will either operate on the inputs or perform another given task, and then it can optionally return a value, so that whenever that function is called in the same way that we call the print function, that given return value will be returned. So let's create a function. Let's call it hello, which will just print the string hello world. So we can save that one. So we have created our function hello. So to use it, we'll have to call it by typing the name and then followed by the two brackets. In this case, our function takes no argument, and it just prints the string hello world to the console, and it returns nothing. We can run that using the Python interpreter. So we can type python 3 main.py hello world. So our function has been called, and it has printed the string hello world. So in our case, our hello function just prints the string hello world, but it does not return a value. And in this case, if you don't have a return value in a function, it will return none. And when you call it, for example, let's create a variable greeting, which will be pointing to the value that is returned by our function. And in this case, let's print greeting. So this greeting will be none because our function does not have the return keyword. So if we run that, we find that when you print greeting, and when you print the greeting variable, we find that it's none. So instead of printing directly the string hello world, we can have a return statement. And let's say greeting is equal to hello world, and then we will return that one. So that is the value that will be returned to whoever calls that function. Whenever this function is called, this is the value that will be returned. And in this case, greeting will be pointing to the return value, the string hello world. And when we print it, we find that we'll get the string hello world. So if we run that, we find that we're now printing the variable returned by the function hello, in this case hello world. Again, a function can take arguments, and let's create another function called square, and let's say it will get a variable known as x, and this function will return the square of that variable, in this case x times x. So we can print, and then we can pass the square function to the print function, and then let's pass the value 4. When we run that, we find that we get the value 16, because that's the value that is returned by the square function. Again, a function can have a docstring, which is a string that is used to explain that function, and it can be accessed by the doc variable. The two double underscores are pronounced as danda, that's why I'm saying doc. So in this case, we can have a docstring in our square function, which says, let's say something like compute and return the square of input x. So this docstring is wrapped by either 3 double quotes or 3 single quotes. In this case, we have used 3 single quotes. the docstring is used to explain this function, and it becomes useful to anyone that will be using our code. Whenever a function takes arguments, in this case, this is known as a positional argument, and it's mandatory. You cannot call the function without that argument. Let's say, for example, you call the square function without the argument, we will get an error. So let's try to run this. If you run this, you find that square takes square missing one required positional argument, x. In that case, we cannot call it without that argument. But also a function can take a default argument. So let's say you want the value of x to be 5. This means that whenever the caller calls that function without passing an argument, x will be 5, and it will not be mandatory for them to pass an argument. So we can remove that, and if we run our function, we find that we get the value 25. But if we pass another variable, let's say 45, we find that the square of 45 will be calculated and returned. So that's it for this video. We'll pick it from here. Thanks for watching.